You guys remember it was something about that joint Navy Marine operation? It's like the Marine forces. They call it maritime forces, man. Merchant Marines. Let's see if we say merchant Marines, right? It says, well, the Navy, the oceans, was originally to protect the businesses and merchant services. So we had the merchant Marines and the United States Navy. The Royal Navy. The United States, yeah, all the states around the world, the United States, you get it. So the U.S. Royal Navy, the British Navy or British intelligence, and you go, wow, where's the trading class, yeah, the trading classes, middle classes, middle grounds, you make trading deals, the trading, trading classes. So he said, what about the Ohio class, oh, the hi, how you doing? Hello, United States, you know, Universal Services, yes, United Space Agency, International Space Station. Oh, and don't forget the Lafayette class. I thought that was outdated, but I tell you, I grew up on Smurf Street. They're probably like, man, what do you mean Smurf Street? Well, I told somebody, they said, hey, where you grew up at? I says, well, since you try to steal all my information, I tell you, Smurf Street, Blue Smurf, Smurf Street, like Papa Smurf, like Big Daddy, United States Navy, Royal Navy kind of thing, I grew up on Lafayette Street on the naval base, in South Carolina for space camp, down there in Goose Creek, Hey, if you guys were playing Duck, Duck, Goose, hey, I'm not the goose, Top Gun, see? So it's Duck, Duck, no lame ducks. There's a goose. Well, we took a gooses on wild goose chase. So we were having a lot of fun, educating everybody, So anyways, that's a little history, for the Navy Smurfs, You had a Papa Smurf, Papa Smurf, always putting out fires, man, because, it's like we have a big Indian powwow, we get together to tell stories. And we're like, hey, we could have some wisdom if you just did this instead of that, kind of like parental guidance. Parental guidance, Well, if you look at it in Hebrew, you get a GP for a group policy. Group policy are like family policies, good policies and raising children and stuff, Most people don't get that kind of stuff, but I'm like, hey, here you go. Indian powwow. I just had an Indian friend of mine walk by, man, and she's like, hey, you know about this? I said, I'll tell you about that. Okay, cool, I'll tell you about that. Hey, thank you very much. We have powwows, we ain't talking, it's like telepathy stuff, They go with telepathy stuff. He says, man, you know about the missile guidance system? Missile guidance system? Yeah, if you turn it around backwards, you get a GM, it's a general manager. Oh, really? Yeah, it says my grandmother, She's like had Cherokee and Indian stuff, She said, Joy, you're gonna have great joy when you come up to the mountain and talk to me. So I says, okay, I'll go talk to my Cherokee grandmother. Okay, cool. Hey, your other family, in the Green family, they had some Cherokee people in their family too, That's why you call them the Army Greens. My Granny Green, or Judy Green Kirk, that was the Green New Deal, man. All the Indians were helping out, We had a bunch of different tribes too. You ever been to Oklahoma City? I went to Oklahoma City and I said, man, oh, kind land Americans? Yeah, those people. Oh, Oklahoma. Oh, it's a home run, man. American baseball system. We could do this all day. But anyways, right now we're working on this Top Gun psychological flight school so we could do some piloting. We got Cherokee and Indians flying around in the skies too, And you think we just say, oh man, clear blue sky today. I tell you what we're gonna do next. We're gonna take you down and we're gonna show you a real pilot school flight simulator. You'll see them advertised and you see these little YouTube videos, but I know some of these people locally, man, they're watching these videos and like, man, I can't believe all this stuff. I says, well, we were trying to help you guys out a long time ago, but you weren't listening. So we just had to wait till the right time. Right time. Well, everybody wants stuff. Right now, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I want it right now. Come on, give it to me, give it to me. And we're like, and well, in God's time, And then it's like, I said that once already, Well, they wouldn't listen, so God works in mysterious ways. He's like, boy's got amnesia. How about that? And like that. And it says, okay, boy's been drugged again. How about that? Okay, now boy's gonna wake up. And he says, man, they were trying to manufacture a miracle. I says, well, maybe they needed a real miracle if they just would have waited on God above. Well, if they went on God above, well, they didn't understand that. So we built an international space station. I said, can you wait on them? They're talking about it. They're watching the whole world, man. It's like, hey, can you tell us some stuff? Okay, now we're gonna send stuff. Prayers go up. They're watching all the satellite stuff, man. Like, man, we got a heated area over here. Might have been some bombs go off over there. Stop dropping bombs, okay? We see that stuff, like the big Indians up top, and then the bigger Indians, like the little chiefs downstairs, and like, We the people, So it says, well, maybe if we could give them a bigger picture of the smaller picture of the bigger picture. We says, well, America. We said, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got the President. Well, they don't understand that. So we tell them about Indian Sign Language. They don't understand Indian Sign Language. It's like, okay, well, can we make up some sign language they can understand then? We're like, okay. We got all we the people, like the House, Hey, everybody's in the house, man. Like a big satellite called Planet Earth. It's the house, man, the house of God. If you're good people, it's the house of God, And we'll go, okay. And then we got the Senate, the Senate. Oh, okay. Well, if we got a bunch of commercial airplanes flying around, a bunch of products, that's like the Senate, man. It's the people, the big corporations and stuff, making sure everybody has what they need. The Senate, And they don't understand, maybe the president, talks with all the world leaders and stuff. And this is, well, we got an international space station. So we got like, people vote for, hey, go up there on that space station and talk to people and be like a bunch of diplomats and stuff, We understand diplomacy. And this is, well, if they do all those science project up there, and prayers go up, blessings come down. Okay, now they can see something in the physical world, and then they go, maybe I can understand some of that spiritual Indian stuff. And they go to spiritual Indian stuff. Yeah, the S.I.S, get it? S.I.S, Oh, come on, people. Solutions and service and solutions, And he said, what do you mean that? Well, there's service and solutions. Every time you do something nice, you get some kind of intelligence. And they go, man, yeah, man. Sometimes the intelligence, they get a little crazy because they run out of ideas. So you go, well, in schooling the intelligence services, sometimes you got to take them back to school. Say, let's school the intelligence services again so everybody get on the same page. And it's like, oh, cool. Then the intelligence services, oh, it's pretty cool, man. Then they turn around and they go, well, the services, intelligence, is schooling now, And they go, man, you see how that works? Backwards and forwards? And they go, well, we got a compass like that, man. We said north, south, east, and west. And if you spin the dial every time the plane turn around, vroom, vroom. I explained the crazy 8 thing. Yo, look at the manual. It's on this page. You just look at it, okay? You fly into the crazy 8, you got to weave around and make it work for everybody, man. That's diplomacy. And that's what we said. You got the laws of science, and sometimes you can even bend the rules of science, man. I mean, fifth dimensional stuff, You can bend the rules of science, man, but you can't break the laws of God. You see? I'm like, man, now they're getting it, you see? So, you fly into the crazy 8 and do a lot of cool stuff, diplomacy and stuff. But still, same result, man. You got to talk to God, Okay, and that's why we make Guardians of the Galaxy. What's that? Well, we got a lot of aliens and angels up there, man. So, to kind of tell everybody about it so they don't drop bombs on each other again. We're like, well, maybe we'll put satellites up there with some information on them. Satellites, yeah. We know keeper of the books kind of stuff. We're like, well, we got a lot of books and a lot of education. I mean, if we wrote down everything we know about everything, we run out of space for the books, man. We run out of space in our brains, man. So we're like, hey, we'll make a satellite system. Connecting internets and stuff. And then once we get that going, and then we won't have to record just like everything, because then we could look around and be like, hey, this is what that means. This is what that means. Like my friend, my friend over there, was in South Carolina. Was in a place called Southern Pines, and we were sitting there. And the doctors are doing cool, crazy stuff, man. They're doing all kinds of stuff they shouldn't have been doing. Like, hey, this kind of sweatbox, man, like a prisoner of war or something. We're gonna do some crazy stuff for some psychological stuff to fix some people later that went through some war zones. Maybe it'll give us some information and make those guys feel better, tell some jokes, It's like, well, I was out there in a box, but at least I had a skylight, It was real hot, and all them blankets and stuff, They're like, well, they was wrapping Jesus in a manger or something, out there in the desert, And they tell that story all the time, but do you realize how hot it's in the desert with no plants and no trees? It must have been cold at night with the snow, but, maybe they left him in the blankets and the sun came up and they cooked his brain. Who knows, man? I mean, that's the kind of stuff you got to think about. And he was like, okay, what we got then? Well, if everybody's acting like a bunch of animals, it's because they cooked their brains. So way back then, even after they dropped the nuclear bombs and everything else, they said, hey, we're going to write this down in the books. And we're going to say that we cooked each other's brains from all the heat and the radiation and everything else, and everybody got, brain deficiencies and stuff. We're just going to write the story about this, one guy, because they come along and he says, man, I'll tell you this is what we got to do. So everybody got clever, and then they got intelligence, and then they had the one guy and the other guy, and then they had the scientists underground and all the scientist labs, and they're like, hey, we're all protected from that radiation, so we can't really blame it on the people who's got deficiencies with radiation and fallout and stuff, but we're going to find a way to help them, so we got to make up this story, And we got Jesus. And there really was a guy like Jesus. It's like, well, they don't believe it, so maybe we got to show them another one, And I said, just educate, okay? solutions, which are, you provide solutions with what? Negotiations and diplomacy. Unite states. Or this state got an idea, this state got an idea, that state got an idea. Or just education, man. Just like justice, like fair and balanced, checks and balances. We go, well, just educate, and solutions unite solutions, like diplomacy, so we say, hey, they understand, give them something physical to look at. Okay, well, give them something else that says, we got all these people down here that need leaders. So we got all these legislatures and house members, and go the house, so I said last year, I said, married couples that are happy, they're doing things right, the good families, because if they're good families, they're not tearing things down and doing stuff, then maybe there's some pretty good leaders, right? So the good families. And then there's some families out there that are good families. Well, some of those bad families and those crooked good families did some bad things too, And we're like, well, you gotta just brush it under the rug this time, Hey, we'll move on, okay? Now look at this. And then you go, well, they don't understand that, okay? So we got the Senate, right? Like we've seen it before. The Senate, you get it? So we got the Senate, and they're up there trying to get everything, like the big corporations and stuff. Like, man, where do we send these products, I mean, we can't just send it over there. They'll waste it, and that's wasting products. I mean, we're trying to restore the planet, with resources and stuff. So we don't want to send all this stuff over here. It's too much. It's lining people's pockets because, that's wasting stuff too. So we're trying to get rid of the waste and, put some more resources out there. It's like, okay, so how do we do that? And it says, well, you put satellites up in the sky, man. Oh, man, yeah. So they've seen it before. Maybe they'll learn morals and ethics, People tell those old Indian stories of morals and ethics, like we used to with the folk tales. Where do you think folk music came from, And they're like, oh, well, no, it's just this color race that did that. Just this color race that did that. Like, what are you talking about? Chinese people got fortune cookies, okay? So I'm like, there you go. Hey, some stuff. Now, let's go see a flight simulator, huh?